Hello, this is Greg Allison with Galactic Gregs, coming to you on the wee hours of the 1st of February 2021 to talk to you a little bit about space property rights, space law, in context mostly of SpaceX going to Mars and other such things, and other entrepreneurs wanting to go to appropriate parts of the moon and asteroids. We're going to briefly touch on it. I may come back to this topic. I may bring in a couple of legal experts later to drive this further in the ground. But I'm just going to do a brief treatise of it, and I'm going to give you some little fun backgrounds of other people and groups that have played ball in this arena. So real quick, we're going to go to the UN 1967 Outer Space Treaty. There was a UN Moon Treaty governing bodies and celestial orbits in and out, other celestial bodies, which the United States almost signed and probably would have signed and ratified had it not been for a little bitty organization called the L5 Society. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was back in the 70s, and I was late 70s through maybe early 80s. No, it was in the 70s because Carter was still president. He was 80, wasn't he? We fought the Moon Treaty. We fought it with everything we had, and we prevailed. A small society. Here's my L5 Society pen. And yeah, I've been in this for a long time. See, I'm an old L5er. In fact, I started 3 chapters of the L5 Society. The Cumberland L5 Society, which is no longer. The North Star L5 Society, which lasted for a few years, is no longer in Alaska. And they still exist at Huntsville, Alabama, L5 Society, which started Project Halo, which made a Guinness Book of World Records flying a hybrid rocket. Much my boy. All right, let's move on. I'm going to go share. We're going to go to the UN. Once again, to the UN. Whether we like it or not. This is their 1967 Outer Space Treaty. We kept the United States out of the second treaty, which is more aggressive and held property rights back. So we thought that was really the Russians, communism and so forth would favor that. The Russians actually contacted us and thanked us for stopping that treaty. They didn't like it either. We thought that was funny. So that's not what we expected. So let's go in here to Article 1. The exploration and use of outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, shall be carried out to the benefit and in the interest of all countries, irrespective of their degree of economic or scientific development, and shall be in the providence of all mankind. So in other words, every nation should have a piece in this. So even if you spend a lot of money on it, makes no difference. Outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, shall be free for exploration and shall used by all states without discrimination of any kind on the basis of equality and in accordance with international law, and there shall be free access to all areas of celestial bodies. We'll see how that works when China puts their moon base up, which I'm going to come to that. I want to cover that because China did not abide by another treaty they're signatory of, which is the Law of the Sea Treaty. Yeah, we may touch on that briefly here too, because I fought that one too. Not so successful in that case, but hey, we took a plug at it. Here is the operative thing. Here is Article 2 for purposes of property rights of space. Outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, is not subject to national appropriation by claim of sovereignty or means of use or occupation or by any other means. So you cannot claim or nationally appropriate any part of the moon. Our space, including the moon and any other celestial bodies, is not subject to national appropriation by claim of sovereignty, by means of use. Now, see, here's a little bit of a dangerous part, or occupation, or by any other means. So basically, you can't claim the property. You can't claim it is yours. No part can you claim. But there is still fair use considerations that we're going to get into. And I'm going to show you. Now, here's one thing that you'll find from Green Gregs that you're not going to find from a lot of you other space YouTube channels. I have been quoted by none other than Buzz Aldrin in respect to property rights of space. And in fact, this article was written by Buzz Aldrin and Taylor Denneman. And it was written in the 22nd of February, 2007. And Buzz actually wrote a similar article prior to this one. This is the best looking one I can still find on the internet. These articles are disappearing. These old articles are, by the way. So what you'll find here is that when it got down to property rights, this is what Buzz wrote. He says, Greg Allison, chairman of the National Space Society's Policy Committee, states that it believes that the 1967 Outer Space Treaty can be interpreted as permitting public and private entities, not nations, to appropriate resources that they can directly utilize and to establish reasonable zones of operation, not appropriation, zones of operation around sites of activity. Let's further say, an American base, even one with substantial international participation, would create a precedent that would not only apply to the moon, but also to other accessible bodies in the solar system. Okay, let's go back here a minute. There is specific, here's something I'm going to come back to in a future video, real soon. The moon and other celestial bodies may not be used by the states parties to the treaty exclusively for, or have to be exclusively for, shall be exclusive for peaceful purposes. The establishment of military bases, installations, and fortifications, the test of any type of weapons, and the conduct of military maneuvers on celestial bodies shall be forbidden. Yeah, but the use of military personnel for scientific research or other peaceful purposes shall not be prohibited. The use of any equipment or facilities necessary for peaceful exploration on the moon and other celestial bodies shall also not be prohibited. Okay, so we'll have to come back to that in the future. Well, let's go on. So Buzz wrote an article, quoted moi. Buzz is called my house. I know Buzz. And let's see. Oh yeah, that can be found there. That can be found in a couple of other places. Oh, I delete. Oh yeah, right here. And Vostok conspiracies. Oh, this website's gone to hoo-hoo. But here is a, you can find this is from Buzz Aldrin. Here somewhere, it's got Buzz's name. It's basically the same text, quoting Greg Allison right here. Same thing, pretty much the same thing. There we go. Former astronaut Buzz Aldrin, second man on the moon. You heard of Buzz, right? And that also occurs here in this article. This came out much later. And it quotes Buzz Aldrin as quoting Greg Allison. Heard of that guy? Oh, yeah. I've also taken a stand against this Law of the Sea Treaty. And you'll find this in one of our chapter things. I sent out a legislative alert. Message your senators. Please stop the Senate from ratifying the Law of the Sea Treaty. Lost. The common heritage of mankind language in the treaty and numerous provisions therein will not only make practical development of vast resources of Earth extremely difficult, but can set precedents that would render even greater resources from outer space impossible to develop. This treaty is an attack on property rights and the sovereignty of the United States. Vote no on lost. And I show people how to contact Capitol Hill switchboard. And I talk about a position statement in here. Law sets bad precedents for signing future treaties. Law subjects U.S. and other nations to international authority. Laws will inhibit development of space resources. The U.S. already complies with laws except for Part 11. And I go on and on and on and on. Oh, yeah. So I've had quite a history of fighting international treaties that went against private property rights in space. And you can see in here that, where does it go? I think I got my email, one of my old emails in here to contact. There it is. After contacting your Senator Congressman, email the results of your conversations to Greg Allison. And that was my chair, my subcommittee there, Mr. Bart Leahy today. So as you can see, I was National Space Society. And that's yeah, that was me back sans the beard and long hair. Actually, this was in a hotel in, I think, 2006. So that's probably when this bio was written. It overlooked the Pentagon directly, that room did. Yeah. So let's see. It was very sensitive. It might have been 2000. No, it's 2005 ISDC. So this is a 16-year-old article. The 16-year article says that I have been doing this for 20 years. The past 20 years. You can see Mr. Allison is the program manager of the Huntsville, Alabama L5 Society's High Altitude Liftoff Program and the president of the High Altitude Research Corporation. In his capacities, Mr. Allison is developing cheap access to space technologies. Mr. Allison has worked on the International Space Station program for Grumman, a systems engineer specializing in robotics, and for Mevitech Corporation for electrical power systems integration engineer, which I did for Space Station, and Teledyne Brown engineer as a payload integration engineer for external space station experiments. Mr. Allison is currently working for Hernandez Engineering as a safety product assurance engineer for such products as orbital space plane, X-37, and the high-techs. So yeah, this is about 2005 this was done. Mr. Allison also studies means to defend Earth from asteroids and the construction of large-scale space stations. Yeah, see my Venus habitat. So there you go. This goes on and on, talking about my other experiences. So yes, that was me. That was me. And here's the Outer Space Treaty. Now, here's what you got to know about the Outer Space Treaty. All the green countries are signature to it. The red countries are not. Now, these have somewhat equatorial nice areas, and maybe even this, Guyana country here. But there's a few countries. Let's go click on this. Bing. There we go. So you got signatories that didn't actually, they signed it, but they didn't actually ratify it. That's what that means. So they kind of take it as law, but it's not really totally enforceable upon them, which includes Honduras. So when we got some of our Guyanas here that are interesting, well, you can go to Somalia. And also Kenya, unfortunately, signed it. Kenya is a somewhat friendly nation. There's several islands possible. Operating off an island with logistics to launch a space launch vehicle is very difficult. Down here would be, well, we do have the Ariane been launched from down there, so that's a possibility. But I tell you what I like. All right, so we got various Caribbean countries here that are possible, but logistics on the islands is a very expensive proposition. Of course, you can mobilize from here or down here if SpaceX is operating from any of these sites. They're currently in Boca Chica, which yesterday ought to move to Mobile for some of their logistics, because the eastern side of the Gulf of Mexico is not populated with cities of oil rigs. I mean, cities of them. Yeah, I've been out there. I got pictures. Belize, please. Oh, Belize. Yes, Belize speaks English. English is the language of Belize. Can you believe that? Yes, and it's got Mayan runs. So Belize is an interesting country to go to. English is the primary language in Belize. So see, it's got a British heritage there. So that makes Belize an interesting prospect for operations base. But what would you have to do? You couldn't just operate from Belize to get out of these things. You would have to actually repatriate to Belize. You would have to be a Belize citizen. Your company would have to be a Belize company to get out of the 1967 Outer Space Treaty. It also means you wouldn't have to be you wouldn't be regulated by the FAA. But Belize don't want ginormous liabilities on them either. So they would probably regulate you too, or you'd have to do a whole lot of explaining. But a country like Belize is poor and small, an operation that would go to the moon and get resources and reclaim property. Wow, Belize might become the richest nation on earth, considering the value of asteroid materials, right? So Belize might be a very interesting place to repatriate your company to, your citizenship to, and operate out of if you totally want to escape the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, sans us getting U.S. to withdraw from it. And we've not had precedents of withdrawing from major treaties since George W. Bush took us out of the ABM treaty. So maybe we can get a future president to do that. I don't see that with the current administration and any stretch of the imagination. So Elon, you're stuck with where you're at, or you got to make a bold move. Now, the problem with Belize is that even here, they are in the North American continent. I don't know about getting roadways in through all this. Traveling through here with the, with the drug cartels might be somewhat problematic, but it might be easier to mobilize resources by sea out of here or down from here. Actually, this will be shorter. Again, you ought to consider operating out of Mobile. I've said this a few times in a few videos, Elon. Consider mobilizing and operating out of Mobile. And this is a great area for recovery of asteroidal resources too, my friend. There you go. I did a video on that. So I'm going to show you one other interesting thing. And we're about to end here. We'll do a special video on property rights and go into more detail on the common law. See what it is? It's the common law. Moreover, what gives you with appropriation usage is that it mainly comes out of civil law. Civil law is a little better on this, that you can basically, if it's unclaimed, you can use what you can scoop up, basically, what you can readily use, get in your hands. That's kind of the language. Common law allows you to do that somewhat, but not as well. That requires a lot of discussion analysis. I'm not going to go into all tonight. It is 3:26 in the morning, and yours truly has got to hit the hay. But there's some other people trying to take stabs at it in other ways. There is this Asgardia, Space Nation. Many of you may have heard of that, and I consider this to be a humorous thing myself. What is Asgardia? Asgardia, the first space nation. No, it is not. Most definitely, Asgardia is not the first space station. Oh, how would you know, Greg Allison? Because I chaired the Constitutional Convention in the year 2000 of the first space nation. It was called Rouse's, the Regency of outer space, basically. It's actually the Regency of the United Societies in space, and it was considered a regent, and this was led up by the World Space Bar Association, which was an international conclave, and it was a democratic governance, whereas this is a kingship, and here's your king. The head of the nation, Dr. Igor Asher Bailey, Asher Bailey, I guess. I don't know. Sorry for murdering your name, Mr. King of the Universe. But hey, really? First space nation? No, not quite. Oh, Greg, you gotta be kidding me. You didn't chair that convention. There it is. There's not much left on the internet about it. But you can see here it talks about, presided over by Ronnie LaJoy and Mr. Greg Allison. There you go. Oh, yeah. Mr. Igor Asher Bailey. Let me get to Mr. Igor Asher Bailey, I guess. I don't know. Let me end share. Hey, Halo. I can say Halo. I ran the high altitude liftoff program. All right, Mr. King of the Universe. Before you start naming your kingdom Asgardia, you should ask Odin for permission first. Yeah, ask Odin. All right, gotta have a little fun here. Guys, don't take it too serious. One thing about Galactic Greg's, I got a galactic sense of humor. And some of you may not recognize that yet, but you know, hey, space is serious. Deadly serious, by the way. But it also has a lot of hope for the future. I hope that SpaceX is able to pull off their missions, and that entities such as SpaceX can accomplish their visions on Mars. I hope that we can do the asteroidal mining, as is quite often championed by Jeff Bezos, and furthermore others to be involved in those kind of things. I hope that I can prevail upon them that maybe the Gulf of Mexico is a good operational site. I've covered it in previous videos. Check them out. And I've laid out my explanations for that. And I've operated from there. Check out my previous video. I show me launching from the Gulf of Mexico. Check out the video before that. And I show, well, it may not be in this sequence, as I may throw in a video on the launch of SN9 if they can pull it off here in the today or next few days. Providing the FAA gives them clearance, but there's a little snip between FAA and SpaceX, and I got a video on that. So with all that, I'll say let's wish SpaceX, Blue Origins, and all these companies the best of luck in their endeavors, and whatever new company should arise to go after this occasion. Oh yeah, I'm Dr. Igor Asher Bailey. Hope I got that right. Mr. king and sovereign of the universe. One, I'm not fond of kings. At least we had a democratic governance, and it was internationally represented when we formed this organization. And some of the regents are our lead died, and some of the money that we were using to run the organization dried up. But some of the regents have talked about restart on it and reactivating. It's all still signed. There's nothing that's really too much out of force. It could be resurrected. And then we'd have 2 universal governments, right? Or more. I really prefer, I'm more of an anarchist, though, at heart. So I often tell people, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy practitioner. When these guys started out, they were very much in league with the common heritage of mankind language, which I've fought so hard so long against. The language of the Moon Treaty. They even favored a Moon Treaty until I joined. Sometimes the best way to change an organization is join it and go to the top. Wasn't the tippy top. The tippy top was Declan O'Donnell, but I chaired the convention. I did get Ronald and Joy to help me on it because I didn't want to do all the admin by myself. So there we go. That's how all that happened. And we had some fun. We'll see what comes out of it all in the end. I really favor, countries and really individuals, and space one day will form indigenous nations based right out of space. It's in violation of the 1967 treaty. I'm not going to be signatory to it anyway. Oh yeah, remember what some of you might know that on the Galactic Green Rigs channel, I'm quite fond of the Declaration of Independence and certain things it says in here, such as, let's see, let's scroll over to it. Very fond of this. Let's see. It's talking about in the course of human events, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve political bands which they have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth, or beyond, the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. A decent respect of the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes for which impel them to the separation. And it further goes down in here that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it's talking about freedoms in here. It is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying it upon the foundation of such principles and organizing its powers in such form. And it's talking about freedom and liberty. I could read it all, but we're getting long in this video. But hey, I expect one day people in space will say, people on Earth are down there. They're downers, we're uppers. We'll run our own affairs. Why does somebody down there need to tell us how to cook a chicken or whatever you do? I'm being facetious, but like I said, Galactic Graves has a galactic humor. All right, enough said. Hope everybody enjoyed this, and I'm going to hit the sack. And with that, I'll say to everyone, I'll upload this video later. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.